if I can't share the only thing that I feel I'm good at.
People will be sat thinking, why can't you share it?
Because partly for some reasons that, you know, are outside of my control.
Mm-hmm. Legal related reasons.
Some.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure. You know, and then partly because mentally I wasn't free. Like, I need to be free in my head to create material, to create the magic I share. But all that was in my head is horrible things, is things that I can't shut off, I can't turn off the noise. So then there's no space for magic to find its way in. So I guess it'd be like the equivalent to writer's block, like magic writer's block. Like, I don't know if that's a real thing, but that's the only way I'm trying to simply explain it.
The way that I heard it from what you just said about the noise was, I can't write if there's loud music playing with lots of lyrics in it. So when I do writing, I have to turn off loud music with lyrics in it, or else my brain can't focus on both. So I was almost imagining being in a room with really loud music playing and then me trying to think and write, and I just wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, like my body was not allowing me to perform in the physical sense, in the way that I want it to. You know, I was, you know, some of the medication was working well and I was doing good, but then, like, mentally, like, I wasn't in a fit state to do magic, you know. And because of things that was going on behind the scenes, it was really complicated, you know, even getting work. And then naturally with that, you know, it's going to come financial pressures, which is the last thing you need when you've also dealing with everything else. So ultimately, I had too many horrible thoughts in my mind to try, like, too many problems to solve to even think about magic. But then me not thinking about magic, you just, then that's a depressing notion.
Because that's so much of your purpose and meaning and joy and...
Yeah. And it's not just tricks, it's not, you know, when I talk about magic in this sense, like, there's the card tricks, there's the things that people see, right? But for me, magic is a feeling. It's something you experience in your body when you witness something that you can't explain, or when you see something that feels impossible but feels like unobtainable, right? Putting a smile on someone's face is a magical thing, and that's what I've spent my life doing. But the irony is, I was in a position where I couldn't put a smile on my own face. So how am I meant to do that for anybody else if I can't, you know, if I can't do the simplest thing for myself?
And you go to therapy at this point, you said?
Yeah, my wife was on the phone when she found me to Ed Despot, who's my gastroenterologist, right? And then he put my wife in touch with a therapist called Edward Sim, and I had some sessions with him initially, but this type of therapy can be quite expensive.
Yeah.
So, like, I got like the first few bills and I was like, I can't sustain this, I need it. But having to pay for therapy was making me more stressed in the process because I just couldn't afford the therapy. But Edward Sim, he showed me a kindness that I've kind of been, you know, but I haven't seen in a long time, especially at that time. Like, he contacted my wife and just said, listen, I want to help him, I'll do it for free. And he's been looking after me ever since, and you know, like,
For free?
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I've keep offering to pay now, you know, I'm in a slightly better place, but he refuses, you know, but you know, I think, you know, he's someone who I want in my life forever, and you know, I want to be able to repay. I'll never be able to repay him for what he's done for me, but like, yeah, I mean, he introduced me to so many different things, like stuff that I use this thing called sonic reset therapy. Don't know if you know about it. It's this like noise that you listen to. I listen to it twice a day for 20 minutes, and it's definitely become something that calms me down and helps me sleep at night. And then,
what do you think it's doing? What is it doing for you? It's just kind of resetting your mind in a way, or?
yeah, I guess that's the intention behind it. As I listen to it, it tells me to think about negative experiences, or think about positive experiences, that like, think about goals you want to achieve, or think about things you want to, you know, get past, and just let them come into your mind at the forefront. And yeah, it's really strange, like, it just has a real calming effect.
We'll try and get hold of it, and we'll try and include it in the description below.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Like, it's you know, like, it's been helping me, you know. I'm sure it will help others, but you know, there's lots of different things. Like, one of the things that he suggested to me, which at the time when he suggested it, it was such a weird thing, is he recommended that I read the Alcoholics Anonymous book. Now, I say it's a strange thing for him to recommend for me, because I've never drank alcohol in my life. I've never done drugs other than what the doctors prescribed for me for my Crohn's. So I've literally been teetotal forever, do you know what I mean? So, like, I just naively assumed that, you know, this is a book to help someone who is an alcoholic. Yeah, I still carry my copy.
That's yours. This is my copy.
Yeah.
And in researching your story, I realised the significance of this book, so I just bought a copy of it.
Yeah. For people who've never read it, I recommend reading it. You don't have to be, I'm a testament, you don't have to be an alcoholic to read it and gain something from it. You know, essentially, it's broken up into 12 steps, and each chapter, each step, is a lot of people's like short stories of how they overcome different phases of addiction or trauma. Ultimately, it's trauma, but it's in the Alcoholics Anonymous book. Obviously, it's specifically kind of aimed at, you know, addiction in that sense. And as you hear all the stories, it's very easy to replace the alcoholic side of it in this book and put your own trauma or grief that you're trying to deal with in that place. And it's like a blueprint. It's like literally people are telling you how they overcome a certain thing. And it might not work, everything might not work for you as an individual, but I took so much from this. And you know, it's kind of written maybe from like a spiritual perspective. You know, I'm not particularly religious, like, but ultimately it's about trying to get you to believing something greater than yourself to help you find your purpose. And for me, I've always known that it's been doing magic, right? But I didn't know how to get back to that place without dealing with all these things I was dealing with, you know, like, and I've kind of, you know, gone through the 12-step book, but I've kind of gone through my own 12-step kind of recovery, like going through the different emotional phases that I've been trying to overcome. You know, some of those involve, like, you know, going back, looking at my past, you know, looking at, you know, the situation with my dad, you know, looking at my mum, you know, like, because I think, if I'm honest, there's definitely been a lot of resentment towards my mum over the years, because when my dad went away, like, you know, as my mum, you know, my mum's now, you know, living a different life without him, you know, naturally she's going to get to a stage where she wants a new boyfriend, a new partner. She wants a life of her own, right? But there's quite a few of those men that came into her life that were horrible to me. You know, big part of that was because I was a mixed race kid and we lived in a, you know, quite a racist area. So, you know, a lot of the men, you know, didn't want me. They wanted my mum, because my mum was lovely.
How did you know they didn't want you?
Just they would tell me.
They would tell you?
Yeah. It's like, they'd just tell me, and they'd do things that showed me that they didn't want me. I pretty much moved in with my grandparents when I was 15. Like, because the men in my mum's life, just, I wanted my mum to be happy, but that came at the sacrifice of my own happiness. It meant that she'd be happy because she'd get the love maybe that she felt she needed, but I felt like I lost my mum in the process. So there's been resentment. It's not been like on the surface resentment, like, you know, I still see my mum at Christmases and stuff like that, but we never really had the bond that I felt we should have had. But kind of one of the things I got from the book is I've had conversations with my mum that I've been too scared to have, and I've actually got to understand her better. And this is the wrong word, but because ultimately she doesn't need forgiveness, because knowing her story, she hasn't done things wrong you know, she hasn't purposely done things wrong for me to go, I forgive you, right? But there was, knowing what she'd been through, like, it's in these conversations that I've learned about some of the physical abuse that my dad would do, and that also that other partners of hers would give her. And I think she'd been trapped in a cycle of, you know, not necessarily kind of picking the wrong partners and just kind of trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, you know, which you know, you can't blame someone for. Like,
I mean, I've come to learn from doing this podcast and speaking to a lot of psychologists that specialize on love, that we often seek out the form of love that we grew up on, and sometimes that's an abusive form of love. So many psychologists that I've spoken to have alluded to this, but a few have said this quite directly, that if you were at a very young age had a sort of a toxic attachment with maybe a figure in your life, that there's a chance that you'll then grow up and seek out toxic attachments in the cycle that you've described. We tend to think that, well, you know, we tend to think that if we've been in a toxic situation when we were younger, for example, that we'll then seek out really, really healthy situations because we know what bad looks like. But in fact, I've been told that it's often the opposite, that we go back to the cycle of love that we were familiar with.
Yeah.
Familiarity seems to be the key word.
Yeah, people find safety in familiarity, even if that familiarity isn't actually safe. But I can feel that.
This book, this very small book, there's something about these ideas that seem to reach people when they're in their toughest moments. Step number 1, we admitted we were powerless, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Have you had to admit you were powerless? And have you started to believe in a power greater than yourself?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've felt powerless for years. Like, I know that I'm not in control. Like, my illness has debilitated me for so long, but just when it always seems to kind of pop up, you know, when I'm kind of flying high, when I feel like untouchable, and suddenly I get a little reminder that, you know, I'm fallible, I've got weaknesses, you know, can't get above my station, so to speak. But yeah, I think that I've always looked for the magic in the wrong place. And what I mean by that is that I've always looked for the magic in me to help me out of whatever situation I was in. And what this book opened up my mind to the idea of is the magic in other people.
As you know, because I've been sent thousands of messages, these conversation cards sell out exceptionally quick.
Of seeing a different type of magic, seeing the magic in other people is what's given me that spark back. And the magic I've been seeing, it's not dynamo magic. You know, it's something different. It's something that I'm feeling, and I'm finally feeling it again. In fact, I feel like I'm feeling it for the first time. Like, Edward Sim, my therapist, he's a very successful therapist. He doesn't need to offer me therapy for free. But he wanted to share some of his magic, and that started to rewire my mind to realise, whoa, like, there's some amazing people out there who can, you know, who they can change lives, they're changing mine. You know, when I saw you 3 years ago and we shared a candid conversation, you know, about some of the things I was feeling at the time, you first off listened to me, and there was no cameras around. It wasn't like this, you know, it was just you were present in the room with me. And then not only did you listen, but you kind of helped in a small way. And that was magic. You know, I don't know if anybody knows who's watching this, but you are part of my new show. Don't know if you've told anybody yet. So you can also see you on the show tonight in a different way than maybe they're used to seeing you.
Definitely.
But like your story, you know, like, I think one of the things I realised for a lot of people from places like where I'm from, speaking to a therapist seems like the last thing you would feel comfortable doing. You know, I'm from a council estate, we're working class, we're like, you know, you're told if you've got a problem, suck it up, you know, be a man, you can't talk about your problems, you know, like, you just got to get on with it, you know. What's that expression, that keep calm and carry on, you know, it was like, it's kind of like instilled in us. I wanted to show people from where I'm from that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be broken. It's okay to not know the answers. And I'm not too proud to go out there and search for the answers for people, you know, like, and I've gone around the world using the, you know, the platform that I have, you know, I've obviously, as Dynamo, the name opens doors, so, but opening doors just for myself is pointless, because it's only feeding my own ego. I realised that if I could use that platform to speak to individuals candidly about dealing with any type of trauma, dealing with not feeling good enough, dealing with all the things that I felt that made me not want to be alive anymore, then maybe that can save someone else's life. And I know it's a grandiose mission statement. I don't take it lightly. I don't, I'm barely saving my own life at the minute, so I don't want to thought it so loosely that I can save someone else's life.
No, but that's exactly what it does. That is exactly what it does, and they're lives that you never really get to see. But just even in sharing how you felt and how you've risen from that, this is exactly what Simon Gunning told me. It does save people's lives. And in this new chapter of your life, following this show tonight called Dynamo is Dead on Sky, you're going to continue to do that. And if there was ever a time, and I think this is why when you came up to me at that event many a year ago and started telling me a little bit about your story, I think I probably said it to you then, but I'm not sure. If there's ever a time when people need that, when they need a little bit of joy, and they need a little bit of escapism, and they need a little bit of wonder, and they need their imagination to be stretched into what is real and what is possible and what is impossible, it is now. And you know that. You know that's what people need now. And that means we need you now.
I had the idea, obviously, to make this show when we first started speaking. But when my nan died, I realised then that the Dynamo as we know it needed to die with her, and that the only way to fully have closure on that part of my life was if I actually bury myself alive. And tonight, after the show plays out live on Sky, I'm going to be doing that.
You're going to bury yourself alive in order to kill off the Dynamo identity?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't put myself in that hole yet.
Right.
So, what will happen after that point is hard to really kind of summarise, because there's only been a few times in my life where I've done crazy, endurance feats like this, and something in you changes when you do them. It's a incredibly scary thought, but since I've thought about it, since the 7th of May 2021, I thought it's the only way to move forward in my life. And yeah, tonight, after the show finishes, you'll be able to see it live. But it's not, for me, it's not like a stunt. It's not about escaping. It's a cleansing for me. And I feel like it will be one of the most incredible but scary things I've ever done. But the thing I've learned over the last few years is that I've got to stop being scared and just start living my life.
I'm both terrified and excited in equal measure to watch the show tonight. I had no idea you were burying yourself alive, so that's terrifying, but I understand your rationale, and I'm very excited to see what happens. Stephen, I would like to see some magic, if possible. Is there some magic you can show me right now?
Yeah, do you want to get some of your friends in as well?
My team?
Yeah.
My team are upstairs. Jack, could you bring the team downstairs? What do you guys do here at DOAC?
I am a video editor. With Anne.
Nice.
I'm head of trailers for the podcast.
There's some good trailers as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm head of the bookings.
Do you want to make some?
You go for it.
You go.
You want as well, so we'll split them, you can both.
Alright.
Yeah.
Is this the best shuffling you've ever seen?
I mean, it's not bad. It's not the worst.
Usually it's when you
Normal cards?
table and you just do all that.
Standard edition, yeah.
Can I mix these over as well? Mix these in. So I'll mix these up all together, yeah?
Yeah.
So what, let's just have everybody pick one. We'll just try this. So take one out, Stephen.
There we go.
Come on, there we go.
Thank you.
Don't let me see. I'll look down so I can't see them. Just remember them and maybe show them to the camera so that the people at home can remember them too. Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna look up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take this one first. This 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll give him a. Give him a 4. I'll do one of those for you. Yeah?
That is so cool. Oh my god.
So the first card, that's one. King of Diamonds.
That's mine.
That's your card.
Oh my god.
If
I'm wrapping up.
I name your card out loud.
4 of spades.
4 of spades. If I just take this and just a bit of a snap like that, you get the 4 of spades.
Whoa.
Yeah. So same 2, I think. I got. So yeah. And then for Stevens, instead of finding it, I'll make all the other cards disappear.
What?
Oh my god.
Where'd they go?
Where have they gone?
When you look under your pillow tonight,
Yeah.
they won't be there.
Oh my god. Wow, that is unreal.
Yeah.
Shit.
Don't worry, I did bring a spare
That's
pair of
actually-
cards just in case. Yeah.
How many packs of cards do you have?
I mean, I'm trying to put down to 2 packs a day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Take one.
Thank you.
And then, Stephen, have you got a pen?
Yeah.
Can you write your name on the face of the card?
Oh my gosh.
On this side, yeah, on the other side. And in fact, pass it around so all of you can sign it, yeah?